The Kings continue to roll on the road, getting goals in bunches from an assortment of players, and Cam Talbot pitches a shutout. We'll break it all down next on this edition of Locked On LA Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and we are also on YouTube. Please like and subscribe if you are enjoying this content. I'm Eddie Garcia, still on vacation for one more day here in New York, but excited to bring you another edition of Locked On LA Kings. I have worked in sports media for almost 30 years, 20 plus years, the Fox Sports Radio Network. Also co-host of the Puck Podcast. It's a weekly NHL review show that's been putting out content for the last 17 years and a passionate LA Kings fan for the past 30 years. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Hope you had a great weekend. The LA Kings sure did, posting a convincing 5-0 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. We'll tell you about a milestone night for goalie Cam Talbot. I'll pass out my 3 stars of the game, and we'll check out where the Kings rank in the Pacific Division right now as far as the game recap, in case you missed it. Let's talk about it right now, as the Kings did take on the Philadelphia Flyers and, in fact, faced former Kings goalie Cal Petersen, who was just called up by Philadelphia due to an injury. As for the LA Kings, a very familiar lineup, as we have seen over the past 9 games in a row. As was talked about on the broadcast by friends of the show, Nick Nixon and Jim Fox, the Kings are winning and they're staying healthy. That is why we have seen the same exact lineup as far as the skaters go from the Kings. Forwards, Anze Kopitar, Adrian Kempe, Quinton Byfield. We have Pierre-Luc Dubois, Alex Laferriere, and Kevin Fiala. Philip Deneau, Arthur Kaliev, and Trevor Moore, and Blake Lizotte with Carl Grundstrom and Trevor Lewis. The forward lines, again, have been the exact same pairings, or not pairings, but exact same trio for all of the last 9 games in a row. Same thing goes to the defense. The duos of Mikey Anderson and Drew Doughty, Vladislav Gavrikov and Matt Roy, and Andreas Engelin and Jordan Spence. Cam Talbot has not been in net for all 9 of those games, but he did play in his 5th straight game. We'll talk more about the goaltending situation coming up in a bit. But your lineup again for Philadelphia, as we talked about on the show on Friday, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And right now, Todd McCullum is just kind of staying out of the way, rolling out the same lines, and hoping for the same results we've seen over most of those last 9 games. As far as the game recap against Philadelphia, LA was pretty much the better team throughout. Started off in the first period, although they didn't grab the lead until later in the period. Quinton Byfield, who had a great night, smartly flipped a little pass towards the top of the crease into the Philadelphia zone. Adrian Kempe was going hard to the net, just got his stick on the puck enough to deflect it into the net and make it 1-0 LA. But just 18 seconds later, Quinton Byfield would be a part of the next goal as well. Made a pass to the point to defenseman Matt Roy. He fired a point shot towards the net, and Anze Kopitar was there to deflect in the goal, the 399th of his career, and that made it 2-0 Los Angeles. In the second period, Kings would go on the power play after a delay of game penalty on Philadelphia. Quinton Byfield hustled to get to a loose puck in the Flyers' end, tapped it over to Arthur Kaliev, who scored to make it 3-0. In the final seconds of the third period, Kaliev would skate the puck into the Flyers zone, leave a drop pass for Trevor Moore, go to the net. Moore would let a shot go between the legs of the Flyers defenseman, and it would beat Cal Petersen to make it 4-0. First glance, it looked like just a kind of an innocent kind of shot from distance, but then you saw in the replay that he actually intentionally shot the puck between the legs of the defenseman. It just obstructed the view of Cal Petersen just a bit to where he couldn't pick it up. So a smart shot from Trevor Moore to get that 4-0 lead. And it looked like it was pretty much all but over at that point. Third period, Alex Laferriere hustle play for the Kings to keep it into the Flyers zone, hold it into their zone as the Kings made a line change. Blake Lizotte comes off the bench, tough for the defense to mark a player who comes directly off the bench. He was wide open in the high slot. LaFerriere gets in the puck. He scores 5-0. And obviously at that point, it was only Cam Talbot hold on and get the shutout. He would. And the Kings would skate off with a 5-0 win to improve to 7-2-2 on the season for 16 points so far this year. As for the game stats, LA outshot Philadelphia 30-24. They won the special teams battle, going 1 for 5 on the power play while holding Philadelphia to 0 for 4 with a man advantage. LA won the faceoff battle 31-22. They were out hit by Philadelphia 20-11, but had more block shots 14-11. As for the two former Kings that were involved in this game for Philadelphia, Cal Peterson allowed 5 goals on 30 shots in his first game as a Flyer. He just got called up. He had been in the AHL all season because of an injury to their starter, Carter Hart, and I think John Tortorella. And I would have done the same thing if I were him. I think he put him out there specifically to face his old team to see if maybe that would inspire him a bit for a better effort, but he didn't get much support from his teammates in that one. Sean Walker, former Kings defenseman, who was also shipped out to Philadelphia along with Cal Peterson. He was an even player on the night, played 20 minutes and 48 seconds. So as we do after every Kings game, we talk about what we like and what we did not like. And obviously we had a lot to like, and we've had a lot to like over the last few games. And certainly the first thing you got to like is that the LA Kings did not allow a goal. And normally that is obviously a stat that will get the goaltender the most attention, and understandably so. But shutouts are not just about the goalies. Credit the Kings' overall team defense as well. Flyers 5-on-5 did not have many quality scoring chances throughout the game. Obviously, you got to like the Kings' penalty kill in this one. Although Philadelphia is probably their most dangerous chances actually came shorthanded, which is to tell you how bad their 5-on-5 offense was. But the Kings penalty kill, which was such a huge focus going into the year, still performing, I think, better, or at least as good as we could hope so far at this point in the season. Again, Philadelphia, they don't have a good power play, to be honest, but still, the Kings made sure that it wasn't going to be something that the Flyers could take advantage of, keeping the Flyers off the scoreboard on the power play. The Kings are right now 10th in the NHL on the penalty kill. If they can stay somewhere around the top 10, I think that would be great. Obviously, a huge improvement from a year ago. Right now, the Kings are killing off opponents' power plays 84.6% of the time. Obviously, you have to continue to love the Kings' balanced scoring. At least one forward on each of the 4 forward lines had a point in the win over Philadelphia. 3 of the 4 lines had a goal. Kopitar and Kempe continue to be tied with the team lead with 6 goals each. Kempe gets his 4th of the year. Kaliev and Lazat each get their 3rd of the season. On the year, Adrian Kempe and Kevin Fiala, who both feel like they aren't really off to great starts this year, still lead the team in scoring. They both have 12 points. Kopitar and Moore each have 11 points. And then you've got Quinton Byfield with 10 points in 11 games. He had 22 points in 53 games last season. We're going to talk a lot more about Quinton Byfield coming up in just a little bit, but obviously he's having a very, very good season. And as far as things to like, personally, I actually like the chrome helmets for the LA Kings that they've been wearing on this road trip. Also, those uniforms where they have the silver, kind of more silver on the jerseys. They've got the old Chevy logo. I like the Kings road uniforms they've been wearing. I'm usually more of a traditionalist when it comes to uniforms, but I got to say, for some reason, I do actually really like the chrome helmets. I know some people probably don't. I'm sure they'll like them a lot more if the Kings continue to win wearing those uniforms, but a personal something we liked from the last game and from the last few games is the chrome helmets and the uniforms the Kings have been wearing. We're going to get into the night that goalie Cam Talbot have. We're going to pass out our 3 stars of the game as well. We'll do that here in just a moment on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. Hey, you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. I don't, because I use Game Time, the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all your sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. As I'm sure you know, I've talked about it the last few episodes. I'm on vacation in New York, and I went to see an NHL game at Madison Square Garden, saw the New York Rangers take on the Carolina Hurricanes, had a great time, and I used Game Time to buy my tickets. The app is very easy to navigate and use. They've got killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, and the best price guaranteed. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. I love that you can view your seats when you buy them, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And they take the guesswork out of buying tickets. They've got all-in prices that show you the total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal without any hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps of the app. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. All right, let us get into the night that goalie Cam Talbot had. But first, I need to let you know the LA Kings face the Vegas Golden Knights in Vegas Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Catch every moment of the hometown broadcast of your LA Kings on Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search LA Kings. All right, now to the night that goalie Cam Talbot had. And this is the part where we usually recap the goals that were allowed. Obviously, we can't do that because there were no goals allowed. And that's just fine. I have no problem doing that. So Cam Talbot getting his first shutout as an LA King. Didn't have a ton of spectacular saves that he had to make because his teammates did a good job in front of him. But let's check in on some of the better saves he had in the game. He did come up big in the first period when the game was still scoreless with a save on a breakaway for the Flyers, who were shorthanded at the time. The Kings were protecting a 1-0 lead actually at that point, so it wasn't scoreless. His best save probably came in the final seconds of the first period. There was a shot that was deflected in close on net, and he was able to get it into his pads and make the save. That was a high-quality chance for the Flyers there. Talbot also had a few key saves in the second period, 2 of them while the Kings were shorthanded. 2 of them came 5-on-5, but overall, I would say it wasn't Cam Talbot's best game necessarily, but it didn't have to be. The team did a great job in front of him. They were playing, this wasn't Toronto, this wasn't Colorado, this wasn't Vegas. So it wasn't, the toughest competition. That should be noted. But at the same time, the Kings did a great job defensively. And when Cam Talbot had to make a good save, he was there to make the save. So a quality effort all around by Cam Talbot as he continues to be used as the Kings' #1 goalie, which is not really a surprise. And frankly, he should be the Kings' #1 goalie because he's played the best at this point. Am I surprised he's been in 9 of the 11 games for the Kings so far in the season? Yes. We've talked about this before. He's obviously 36 years old. And while he feels great now and he looks great, if we continue to use him like this, which we can't, at some point, he could get hurt, or maybe he just gets worn down at the end of the year. I get the temptation of wanting to play him as often as he has in these few games. And you can do it for a while, I think, at the start of the season. And I understand you don't want to mess with a winning streak. I talked about that on Friday's show. I get all of that. Like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But at some point, we are going to need another goalie to help out and carry some of the load for Cam Talbot. But for now, everything's working out. For now, it's all good. And for now, Cam Talbot is certainly doing a great job asserting himself as the Kings' #1 goalie. Was there anything that we didn't like so much from the game against Philadelphia? And when you win 5-0, obviously there's no surprise that there's not much you didn't like. But I'm going to keep harping on it because it's still there. The Kings are not exactly tearing it up on the power play. Really, the only complaint I would say from the game against Philadelphia is that they were not exceptional on the power play. They were okay. They were good enough. Now, as long as they continue to score 5-on-5 the way they are, then it's okay. But eventually that will dry up here and there. I'm not saying for long periods of time because so many guys are contributing. That's the great thing about getting all this balanced scoring. You're not going to have anybody it's not, you're not relying on one or two or three guys. Everybody's chipping in. So if somebody goes in a slump, and you could argue, even though he's tied for the team lead in points, Kevin Fiala only has one goal. So at some point he's going to heat up. But right now, like I said, as long as you're getting the 5-on-5 scoring, as long as it's coming from a lot of different players, you can get away with having it just an average power play again. But at some point, maybe that isn't, maybe they're not getting the contributions from everybody. It's a long season. Things can happen. And then, certainly, you're going to get into certain key positions where you're down a goal, or maybe you're up a goal late. You got a chance to put a team away. You get a power play, and you got to capitalize on the situations in big games against big opponents. So again, it's still a concern to me for the LA Kings. They had some decent scoring chances against Philadelphia, but only able to get the one power play goal. But one was enough against Philadelphia. Right now, the Kings power play is ranked 17th in the NHL. They really need to get that up somewhere around 10, 10th in the league, something like that, kind of where the penalty kill is, to really be in great shape. They're right now, they're at 18.4% on the power play. They need to get that around 25% at some point and keep it there, hopefully going forward, for them to be in really, really good shape. But I would say the power play is the only place right now where I'm a little bit concerned with the LA Kings, and those concerns were not, taken away by anything we saw against Philadelphia. That was the only thing not to like. And there's another thing that I'm not saying I don't like it, but I hope to see more of it. But it is interesting. Have you seen the Vladislav Gavrikov post-game victory dance? It seems like Gavrikov is the one who's initiated this. And the LA Kings Twitter or X account has been posting this on social media. And Gavrikov comes into the locker room and he's doing this dance where he's moving his arms up and down. I really don't know. I'm not much of a dancer, so I have no idea if that's some kind of real move or not. It looks kind of like maybe the robot, or he's doing some kind of Frankenstein thing with his arms. It seems like his teammates, some of them are kind of in on it. Some of them are not sure about it. Some of them are just kind of laughing. We talked about Vladislav Gavrikov being mic'd up a few games back, and it was really cool because we kind of saw he does have a bit of a goofy personality. So this is certainly a part of that as well. The Vladislav Gavrikov victory dance. I hope we see more of it. I'm not sure it's a great dance. I'm not a great dancer, so maybe I should keep my mouth shut and not critique it. But the Vladislav Gavrikov victory dance, it's amusing. I don't know that it's a great dance move, but like I said, I hope we keep seeing more of it here in the near future. Let's pass out our 3 stars of the game. At least I'm going to pass out my 3 stars of the game. And the third star was a tough one. You could have gone very easily with Arthur Kaliyev or Trevor Moore. Each of them had 2-point nights. Each had a goal and an assist. Could have easily picked one of those two guys, but I'm going to go with Blake Lizotte. Thought that he did have a goal, so he did contribute with some numbers. But I thought he was flying around the ice all night. I thought he was making things generally difficult, being the pest, spark plug, whatever you want to call him for LA. Really like his hustle. He does it every game, and sometimes we don't point it out or credit him, but because he had a goal in this one, we're going to go ahead and make Blake Lizotte our third star of the game. Now, the top two, star number 1, star number 2, it was a real toss-up, and it could have really gone either way. I think it was pretty obvious it was one guy or the other. And I went back and forth on this, and I'm like, okay, it's not a big deal. Just pick one. So I'm going to go with Quinton Byfield as the number 2 star of the game. Recorded his first career 3-goal game, his second 3-point outing of his career. Byfield's the first King player, 21 years of age or younger, to record a 3-assist game since Drew Doughty in 2010. We've talked about Quinton Byfield, and he's coming around. He's looking much more confident. He's not thinking as much about what he's doing. He's reacting and just letting his natural skill come across. It's great to see the confidence. It's great to see him putting up numbers. I mean, we'd all like to see him score more, but if his goals are leading directly to putting it in the back of the net, as he did in this game with 3 primary assists, then I'm not going to complain about that one bit. So Quinton Byfield, like I said, I think it was 22 points all of last year. He's got 10 points so far this year. Looking good so far for Quinton Byfield. But I went with Cam Talbot as the number 1 star, and it's hard not to go for the goalie. when he gets the shutout, even though, as I said, it wasn't like he had a lot of grade A saves, but he got the job done. 24 shots he faced, 29th career shutout. He's 6-2-1 on the season, 6-0 on the road, 2.14 goals against average, 8th best in the NHL. He's got a .923 save percentage, 13th best in the NHL. He is the 5th goalie in NHL history to have a shutout with 6 different franchises: Kings, Senators, Wild, Flames, Oilers, and Rangers. So congrats to Cam Talbot on the shutout, his first of his career, and hopefully not his last. Up next, we're going to look at where the Kings are in the standings of the Pacific Division. Even after this nice winning streak, believe it or not, they haven't moved in the standings. But when you find out how the teams have played above them, you'll understand it. Also, we have an Ontario rain report as well. That is next year on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. Hey, score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That is $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action than now. And as much as we love betting on the NFL, you can also bet on the NHL as well. Want to place a bet on our red-hot LA Kings winning in Vegas coming up on Wednesday? Do you think the game will be over or under 6.5 goals against the Golden Knights? All you have to do is use the FanDuel app, which is very easy to do. They've got a wide range of betting options, including point spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on the NHL and the NFL all season long. That is FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, let's check in on the Pacific Division standings. We do this every Monday, kind of let you know where we are to start the week. And the Vegas Golden Knights have been tearing it up, although they lost Sunday against the Ducks by a score of 3-2. That was a pretty big surprise. So Vegas on the season now 11-1-1 for 23 points. The defending Stanley Cup champs, best record in the NHL. They've been killing it so far on the season. The past week, they beat the Jets, and then they crushed Colorado 7-0. That's what it made it even more curious that they would lose to Anaheim Sunday night by a score of 3-2. Vancouver is still in second place, 8-2-1, 17 points last week to beat the Predators, Sharks, and Stars. The Kings remain in third place, 7-2-2 the record for 16 points. Despite this going 3-0 this past week, wins over the Maple Leafs, Senators, and Flyers, of course, all on the road. So the Kings still right now in one of those top 3 spots in the Pacific Division, but not gaining any ground on Vancouver or Vegas. Anaheim is the surprise right now of the Pacific Division. Ducks are 7-4, 14 points. They beat the Penguins, Coyotes, and Vegas, their first regulation loss of the season. It's still early, but again, one of the biggest surprises so far in the NHL is the Ducks. Seattle right now is in 5th place in the Pacific, 4-6-2 for 10 points. Last week, they beat the Lightning and Predators and lost to the Flames. Calgary checks in at 6th place in the division, 3-7-1, 7 points, beat the Flyers, and then lost to the Flyers. They played them twice, and then they beat the Maple Leafs. The Edmonton Oilers continue to be the biggest disappointment so far in the Pacific Division. There's even talk of their coach being on the hot seat. 7-2-1 the record. A lot of talk about them being a Stanley Cup contender. They only got 5 points on the season so far. They lost to the Stars and the Predators this past week. And I know we're all very sad to see the Oilers struggling the way they are. And in dead last, my God, the San Jose Sharks, 0-10-1. 1 point on the season. The only winless team left in the NHL. And the scores this past week, they lost to the Canucks 10-1, and they lost to the Penguins 10-2. Woof. That is god-awful. We all knew the Sharks were not going to be good, but I don't know that anybody knew that they're going to be that good, that bad. They are just atrocious right now. So there's your standings in the Pacific Division. Do want to give you an Ontario rain report before we close out today's episode. And unfortunately, it wasn't great news this past few days for the LA Kings AHL affiliate. They saw their 5-game winning streak come to an end, and unfortunately, they lost back-to-back games Friday and Saturday, both by identical scores of 5-3, and both to the same team, the Colorado Eagles. Friday, Ontario got 2 goals from Charles Hudon, numbers 4 and 5 on the season for him. Martin Chromiak gets his 3rd of the year, and Alex Turcotte had an assist on all 3 goals. Rain goalie Eric Portillo took the loss. He allowed 5 goals on 38 shots. He's now 2-1 on the season. And then Saturday, Charles Hudon, 2 more goals for the Rain, numbers 6 and 7 on the season. Alex Turcotte had a goal, his 2nd of the year, and TJ Tynan assisted on all 3 goals. David Rittich took the loss in this one. He allowed 5 goals on 23 shots. He's now 3-3 on the season. Overall, Ontario is 5-4 through 9 games. Coming up for the Rain, they've got a game on Wednesday and Friday, both at home against Tucson. And then on Sunday, they will take on Colorado once again. All right, for you everydayers, those of you that listen and watch Locked On LA Kings every day, I will be back from vacation on Tuesday. We'll have a better idea of exactly how the rest of the week is going to go, but we'll be talking a lot on Tuesday and Wednesday about the big game against the Golden Knights coming up in Vegas as the Kings take that undefeated road streak into Sin City. We also have the Pittsburgh Penguins coming to town the very next day on Thursday. So we'll definitely be talking a lot about those 2 games. And of course, on Friday, we'll recap the Penguins game and then have a feedback episode as well. If you want to send us an email to get in on that, as always, the email address is lockedoneddie@gmail.com, EDDIE, lockedoneddie@gmail.com. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can always post your comments in the comments section below. I want to stay interactive with the show. Follow us on Twitter or X and Instagram. Both are at Locked On LA Kings. I'm Eddie Garcia. As always, thank you for listening and watching this episode of Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Have a great weekend. Have a great Monday, I should say. We will talk to you on Tuesday. And until then, go Kings go.